The Laws of Ascension, Chapter 122, All-Nighter. Lorik cracks the reins, and the wagon starts moving. They pass the small caravan as they get ready to get back on the road as well. It sounds like Master did have the army attack, Sarah says after they've passed the caravan. I'm still not sure that's a good thing. Can we really sneak through a battlefield? Calvaris has a lot of mages on their side. I don't know about you, but I'm not confident I can beat military-trained mages, Rowan says. You won't know until you try. Besides, you don't have much of a choice, unless, of course, you want to stay here. Lorik replies, causing him to smile a bit. I'll pass. They didn't leave a good first impression. Rowan jokingly replies. I don't know how you two can joke around right now, Sarah says, exasperated. Lorik continues driving the wagon and keeps an eye out for bandits. Vera stays next to him as Rowan and Sarah sit in the back. They occasionally glance out the back of the wagon, worried they're being followed. But they never see anything. The rest of the day passes in this manner, with a brief break for dinner. They occasionally make small talk, but it's always short. At night, they pull over to sleep. Shouldn't we keep riding through the night? Sarah asks as Lorik pulls to a stop. No, the horses need to rest. If we don't let them rest now, we'll have to stop later. I'd rather stop now since the search for you three has only been on for a few hours. We should be far enough to be safe for now. But later, it'll be risky. This will be the only time we stop this long, though. Lorik replies. Just another day or two before we get to the border, right? Vera asks while getting off the wagon. Depending on how early we get up, we might make it to the border by nightfall tomorrow. Lorik replies. Is it best to get there at night? They might be expecting that. Sarah asks. It's best to get there as soon as possible, regardless of whether it's day or night. Lorik replies. Anyway, you three get some sleep. I'll take first watch. Lorik adds as they start setting up the tent. I can stay up with you, Vera says. No, get some sleep. You'll need it for tomorrow. Lorik replies, causing her to sigh. Fine, but wake me up for the second shift, Vera says. I'll take third, Rowan adds. Guess I'm last. Should I feed the horses or anything? Sarah asks. No, I'll do that before waking Vera. Lorik replies. All right, then good night, Sarah says before crawling into the tent. Rowan and Vera follow her in before they all get out their sleeping bags. They lie down and fall asleep as Lorik looks around. He's cast Hunter's vision and is looking for any aura. Now that he's a 5th-tier mage, he can see further. He can see the aura of animals in the forest, but not any other humans. After ensuring they're alone, he gets up and feeds the horses. I thought you said you were feeding them before waking Vera? Nixfang asks, speaking to his soul. She can't leave his soul, as she'd leave behind her aura. Otherwise, she'd be out with him now. I'm not waking her until it's time to go. Lorik replies, surprising Nixfang. He speaks back with his soul, so as to not wake the others. Why not? Are you planning on staying up all night? Nixfang asks. Yeah, it's nothing I'm not used to. I used to go for 2 days without sleeping. Besides, I'll get some sleep in the wagon tomorrow. They've been through a lot mentally. I know from experience how exhausting that shit is, so I'll let them get some rest now. Lorik explains before hearing her sigh. They'll be mad at you, Nixfang replies, causing Lorik to smile. I know. Anyway, Nixfang, I need to go over something with you. Lorik says. What is it? Nixfang asks. Plan B. More specifically, a plan for if a Grand Mage comes after us. If that happens, I'm going to cut the shaft off and the reins. This way, the horses won't be connected. You'll then come out and use your law to attach yourself to the wagon. I'll drop my communications bracelet in the wagon, and you'll run as fast as you can. When you're attached, I'll jump out using my gravity law. I'll then buy time with the Grand Mage. I have some new spells from my soul law, so I can at the very least buy a minute or two. Hopefully, you'll be close enough to the border for Master to find you. Lorik explains, causing Nixfang to go silent. I don't want to do that. You'll die. Nixfang replies after a minute. No, I don't think I will. Godric, Calvaris' king, ordered me to be captured alive. He said he'd show whoever killed me hell and reward whoever brings me by making their dreams come true. I'm assuming he wants me for the invaders. I always have the crystal from the Time Lord, too. I can summon the River of Time and use that ancient war beast's attack to either kill Godric or escape. Lorik explains before Nixfang sighs. That should be saved. I think the Soul Lord intended for you to use it against invaders. Nixfang replies, Probably, but I'll use it when I need it. I don't know what's coming through it either. For all I know, it could be a sword aura or a pack of phantom wolves. I won't use it without thinking, though. Don't worry. Lorik says, All right, I'll do it, but I'm not happy about it. Nixfang says after another minute of silence. Thank you, Nixfang, Lorik replies. He spends the rest of the night looking around. The cold night air hits him, but he doesn't light a fire. The horses sleep standing up, and Lorik stays awake the entire night. Nothing happens during the night, except for a rabbit running under the wagon. Once Lorik sees the first rays of dawn, he sighs before getting up. He walks over to the tent before smiling a bit. An intrusive thought comes to him, and he decides to give in to it. Wake up! Lorik shouts as loud as he can. He sees them scramble up, seeing their auras through the tent. They rush out of the tent, scrambling, expecting a fight. Instead, they see Lorik smiling at them. Time to get going, he says before turning around. What? Why'd you shout at us? Sarah asks in shock. Lorik shrugs before walking to the horses. He puts their harnesses back on before reattaching them to the wagon. Is it already day? Why didn't you wake me? Vera asks as Lorik leads the horses back to the wagon. I wanted to let you guys get some sleep. Can't imagine you had much in prison. Lorik replies. Speaking of, Rowan, you're driving. I'm taking a nap once we get going. Lorik adds, causing Vera to sigh. You should have just woken me, Vera says. Lorik doesn't reply, and they finish packing up. They get on the wagon, and Rowan takes the reins. They eat dried meat for breakfast, and Lorik lies down in the back of the wagon as they get moving. After riding for a few minutes, Vera makes sure Lorik's asleep. Has Lorik seemed off to either of you? She asks Rowan and Sarah. Yeah, it's hard to put into words. Rowan replies. Clothes? Like he's more. It is hard, Sarah says with a grunt. Like he's not keeping his distance. It feels like he's more thoughtful and is just here. Rowan says, Exactly. He pat my head earlier. Vera says, surprising Sarah. Why? What were you two doing? Sarah asks. I had told him I was sorry since he had to become wolf to get the teleportation slab. Then he told me not to be before petting my head. It was weird. Good weird, but still weird for him, Vera explains. Sarah turns to Rowan, who just shrugs. They ride for the next few hours in relative silence. They'll start talking a few times, but always briefly. Lorik wakes up shortly past noon when they come to a stop for lunch. You should get some more sleep, Vera says as Lorik climbs out of the wagon. I'm fine. Used to go 2 whole days without sleep as a kid. I can handle going with just a few hours of sleep. Lorik replies, causing her to sigh. Anyway, where are we? Lorik asks while joining them for lunch. Vera hands him a sandwich, and Rowan pulls out the map. It's the map Drake gave them, and it has their route already marked. We're around here, Rowan says, pointing to a spot on the map. It's just past a small village and is next to the border. It's a straight line to the border from here. We passed the village about an hour ago, Rowan adds. Good, we should make it just a few hours after night, Lorik says before eating. You think the battle is still going on? Sarah asks. Absolutely. Once they've realized you 3 are missing, they'll have launched their own attack. They'll keep at it, trying to ensure the border is embroiled in conflict. This way, we'd be less likely to go across. They'd want to try and make us go around, which would give them more time to find us. So once we get there, be ready. If a battle starts once we're near the border, don't hold back, and be ready to run. We can ride Nixfang and Emberfang if needed. Lorik replies. There's a problem with that. We can't ride Emberfang without a saddle. We'll fall off in the air, Vera says. Then, Rowan and Sarah, you 2 will ride Nixfang. I'll go with Vera and use my gravity law to keep us on Emberfang, Lorik says, causing them all to nod. They finish eating before getting back on the wagon. Lorik takes over driving and cracks the reins. You 3 should try to get some sleep. We won't be resting again until we're across the border, Lorik says. I don't think I can. I'm too nervous, Sarah says. Me too. It's getting a bit hard not to worry, especially now that we're this close. Rowan adds. I'm not letting you stay up alone again, Vera says while sitting next to Lorik in the driver's box. They continue riding throughout the day. Occasionally, they'll see some small caravans coming in the opposite direction. They'll be either empty, having delivered supplies to the army, or they'll be full of wounded soldiers, leaving the battlefield for treatment or because they can no longer fight. Only one of them calls out to Lorik. The others simply pass by. The one who called out only asked what they were doing. Once they heard that Lorik was a mercenary, they nodded before leaving. As the sun starts setting, the wagon's air gets tense. They're each waiting for someone to realize who they are. As the last of the sun's light leaves, they ride up to the top of a large hill. At the top, they can see the light of hundreds of campfires spread around. They're all from Calvaris's army and are spread out for miles left to right. "We're supposed to pass through that?" Vera asks. "We can leave the wagon behind and just sneak through." Lorik replies. "Besides, it's better than an active battlefield, right?" He adds, bringing a smile to her lips. They go down the hill, and the sight disappears. As soon as it does, Lorik stands up.